What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today's topic is going to be, in my opinion, the 3 best ways to meet women here in Colombia. Not just Medellin, but Colombia in general. I want to give you guys one of my main methods, kind of the playbook, break it down, and show you everything pretty much that I do to meet women here. Now, just jumping straight into it, starting off with number 1, that is going to be social settings or social events. You have tons of social types of settings here in Medellin, Colombia, or in Colombia in general, but right now I'm just speaking on Medellin because, of course, this is where I live. And that can be everything from dance classes. I actually just have recently, since I do have a car here, joined a car club. That's another way to meet locals and then meet their friends. And that is one way that a lot of women meet guys here, is not only through social events, but through social circles, which I'll get into that one next. But social events, that is going to be your number 1 way. Every Sunday here in Medellin, and I'm pretty sure this is in other parts of Colombia as well. I know it's in Pereira, and I believe it's also in Cali as well. They do have something called like a ciclovia, where they shut down a large strip of one of the major streets, where a lot of people will go and walk, exercise, bike, run. This isn't necessarily I would say your typical social setting, but it is a lot of people out walking and exercising, and a lot of women out there with dogs, which are easy icebreakers to talk to a woman by just asking what kind of dog this is or something of that sort. But you can do some cold approach there. A lot of opportunities if you ever been here to Colombia or Medellin and been to a ciclovia. And that is going to be the first one, is definitely social settings. Get out there, get into some dance classes, get into some type of social club. Like I said, I just recently joined a car club here and went to one of my first events with them. Was a lot of girls there, some girlfriends, some wives, but also some guys just showed up with girls that were friends. Easy opportunity to try to talk to them that way, and you meet them in a more organic way. So getting into number 2 here, that is going to be social circles. Social circles is the number 1 way that the majority of women here in Colombia, not just Medellin, in Colombia, meet guys that they date and ultimately end up in relationships with. So if you are someone who is good with some type of social circle game, you'll do well at this, or if you don't know it, you definitely need to learn it. But if you start to make friends here, and especially Colombian friends, not just expats, but guys who are Colombian or girls who are Colombian, they may eventually start inviting you out to events. I've have a few expat friends who do this as well. They have girlfriends. They'll say, hey, we're going out to do this, and my girlfriend is bringing some friends or her family, like cousins and stuff like that. So this is another great opportunity, or another great way to meet women organically here in Colombia, and not through dating apps or on the street in Parque Jettis or something like that. So, and this is how you're going to meet a lot of quality, normal girls. Now, I can't speak on how their personality is and if something may work out that way, but from my experience, I have met some women that way through social circles, and it is a great way to meet women here. Now, getting into number 3, and this is by far my favorite way to meet women here, and it's probably my primary shit, I can't even talk this morning. My primary way of meeting women here, and that is through Instagram. If you don't know, Instagram has become probably the biggest dating app on the planet. It has the most users on it, and it is very easy to meet women here in Colombia through Instagram, especially if you have a very good curated Instagram that shows or highlights not only your lifestyle, but you as yourself in a positive light, showing travel, showing access to scarce resources and different things like that. So Instagram is one of my favorite ways, or probably my number one way that I would meet a lot of girls here. And it's not your typical dating app like Bumble or Tinder. And I want to explain to you guys a little bit of how I do it, and or what I think is the best way to do it when you're here in Colombia. Now, first thing, if you are going to be here for, or if you're here for more than a month, I'm not sure in the short term, but once you get here and you start to go through stories and search things, you're going to start to get recommended businesses here. You're going to have different restaurants, you're going to have different flower shops, you're going to have all kind of different ads that will pop up. Now, what I normally do, and you probably can apply this anywhere else in the world, not just here in Colombia, but whatever city you're in, is a way to find local talent, let's say. So what I do is when I see one of these ads, for example, I might get an ad for Dulcineas, a nightclub here in Medellin. What I do is I'll click that ad and go to the profile of that nightclub. Then the first thing I'll do is I'll go to the followers of that nightclub, and I'll start going through the followers. And what I'll do is I make sure that I follow at least 20 girls a day, at least 20. And it may sound like a lot, but if you have 5 minutes of doing nothing, if you're going through a nightclub's followers, you should be able to find 20 attractive girls fairly quickly. Now, I would say the secret to this is not necessarily going for public profiles. Me personally, I have found that my follow back rate is very, very low when it comes to following girls that have a public profile. So I do prefer to find girls that have a small following. I would say anything under 1,500. Usually anything over 1,000 is too much for me, but it's your discretion. So usually I want a small account that's private, where she doesn't have too many followers and her following isn't a small number, like she has 1,000 followers but she's only following 50 people. So once I find some girls that meet this criteria, I'll follow them. And the other reason why I like following girls with private accounts is because the moment that they accept your request, you get a notification saying so-and-so accepted your follow request, and you can see if they follow you back. And it's very important that they follow you back so you can actually later send them a message. And this is really important because if they're not following you back, if you send them a message, it's just going to go into this requested folder that they're more than likely never going to see. So you want to make sure they follow you back. Another reason why it is good to have a girl who has a private profile is if she doesn't follow you back, then all you got to do is unfollow her. Now, if you're somebody who's bold and you want to try to follow girls who have public profiles, one of the reasons why I don't like that as well is because you don't know at what point they've seen that you followed them. And you could try to send a bunch of likes on some pictures to get her attention, but in my experience, at least here in Colombia, in Medellin, that doesn't really work. So what I've had the best success with is always following private profiles and looking for them to follow me back. If they don't follow me back, as soon as I get that notification that they have accepted my request, I just immediately will unfollow them. Generally, a girl, and the important thing is here, you want to make sure that your account is public as well, that you have a public account, it's not private. So when they click on your profile, they'll see that you actually, they can see your profile, they can go through it. And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, these girls have looked through your profile before they accept your follow request. So if they accept your follow request and they didn't follow you back, you immediately want to unfollow them, because in my experience, they're not going to follow you. Regardless if later you like something or whatever, it usually means they didn't like what they saw, or and it could be a ton of reasons why they didn't follow you back. In some of the cases, what I've seen is that they may have a boyfriend or something like that. So important thing here is you want to make sure that you unfollow girls who accept your follow requests and don't follow you back. Now, a way that I kind of keep up with this as well, which helps make this following girls or not running out of girls to follow, is another thing I'll do is once a girl accepts my follow request and she doesn't follow me back, what I'll do is I'll just go to her followers, find one girl that I think is attractive, and usually you can click on their profile picture and enlarge it. If it's a private account, you can click on their, sometimes it'll allow you, sometimes it won't, but for the most part, if they look attractive in their photo, I'll just click request. But I'll go through her following and find at least one girl to replace her that because I'm unfollowing her, I'll find one girl to request to replace the girl that I'm unfollowing. So that way it's a 1-for-1. I lose one, I gain one, and I kind of always stay on top. Or I'll go through her following, follow 2 or 3 girls, and then unfollow her, and then this way I'm ahead. So this is the primary way that I like to find girls here. Now, after you followed a few, they followed you back, then what you're going to do is you are going to wait for a story to pop up. And what I was saying earlier, I know I got a little sidetracked, but if you do, really quick, I want to touch on this. If you do decide to follow girls that have a public account and you don't know if they followed you back or they've seen your request, if they post a story, you want to, at that point, if they haven't followed you, unfollow them. Because if they posted a story, for sure that they've seen your follow request and they're posting a story. At that point, they're not interested. You can unfollow them at that point. But getting back into what I was saying is, so what you're going to do is you're going to wait for one of these girls that you followed with a private account or public account, whatever, to post a story. And like I said, this has worked for me here in Colombia. I don't know if this will work in the States. Maybe it will. But I will wait usually for a gym story to pop up or something that doesn't involve a selfie. Majority of the women's stories here are going to be some type of video or selfie photo of them. I ignore those. I just wait until I see something that has to do with food, something that has to do with the gym, or something that does not have anything to do with how she looks. And what I'll do is, in my case, I'll wait for a gym picture because the majority of the women here do go to the gym very frequently. So some type of gym story is going to pop up at some point. I will then message her, hey, when are we going to work out together? And usually I will always get a response from that. It's something along the lines of, oh, what gym do you work out in? Whenever you want, or something along the lines of that. And then that usually is my opener, and then that gets me into the door to have a conversation. Now, like I said, a prerequisite of this is that you do need to have a good Instagram. It can't be a bad Instagram, given that I do photography and I do videography. I'm always posting stories and stuff like that as well. And good photos to my Instagram, so that way when girls do see my page, it is a little bit more enticing or interesting than, say, someone who just has 3 photos or something like that. Now, I do want to say this: you do not need to have a million photos and videos or reels on your Instagram. You do need to have, I would say, at least 6 photos, 6 good photos, and maybe 1 reel on your Instagram to make sure that it is demonstrating the things that it needs to demonstrate for a girl to be interested in you. Now, another thing that I like to do as well is, after I've sent these messages out, if I get left on red or something like that, immediately I unfollow. If I send a message out and they don't respond to me, at that point, I know that they're not interested. Or if they never respond or never read the message, they just post stories but aren't responding to anything that's get sent out, then I will immediately unfollow them. Now, I do try to give them a couple opportunities. You know, I'll reach out on one story. If I see like it doesn't say seen, or they haven't responded to it, I'll wait for another story. I'll try again, and then, you know, see if they respond. If they don't, then after that, I will unfriend them. Now, this is my primary way of meeting girls, and in my experience, it's been how I've met the most girls. And you can do this, like I said, anywhere. But another thing you can do as well is, if you're not getting ads that are popping up, you can go to your search bar and, you know, search any local club or restaurants, like any of the most popular restaurants or most popular nightclubs. Also too, I think way outside the box. I'll look up, or I'll search nail spas, I'll search tanning places, I'll search modeling agencies, I'll search pretty much anything that women are involved in or will go to. I've looked up pole dancing schools. I looked at I've looked up everything. I've searched everything, and these are how I continuously am able to find, you know, an infinite number of women to follow and potentially turn into leads, shall we say, when it comes to Instagram. So I want to give you guys these tips as well. Now, one of the things that you want to do is, when you do search these places, sometimes you will get an option of one that will say top and one that will say recent. One being the most top, or the most popular post from that location, and the other ones are just recent. Me personally, I always go to recent, and then I'll look through recent, but majority of these recent posts are going to be public profiles. And as I said before, at least in my experience, I have not had the best experience with public profiles. So I don't do this one so much, but it is another thing that you can do, is scroll through the recent, and, you know, you can actually see how the girls look. You can see their profile and then decide if you want to follow them or not. Usually I avoid top, because top is going to be women that have thousands of followers, are getting thousands of likes on their posts, and that's the reason why it's on top. So for that reason, I choose to avoid top. Also, like I said, I don't really use the recent so much. I prefer to just go through the followers and follow a good amount of girls from whatever that location is, and then move on to the next. So this is the number one way that I meet girls here in Medellin, or in Colombia in general. As I said, you can take this method and you can use it wherever, in any city, in any country, but this has been what has helped me be successful in this going on 3 years that I've been here in Colombia. Also, I will say as well, the other two ways, the social circle or social setting, and then also meeting girls through social circles, have been really good as well. And they are a lot safer, because a lot of these girls will be vetted through the social circle way, and you know for sure that they are not going to drug you and rob you. So that's it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope that you got a ton of value out of this video.